The fight over illegal immigration is quickly turning into a spectacle. You need to look no farther than Oracle, Arizona, a small town just about 100 miles from the Mexican border.
You're just lucky! You're not better! None of you are better than them!
That's what it looked like yesterday. Protesters and counter-protesters all lining the streets to yell at each other while waiting for a bus full of undocumented children to arrive. Except that bus never did show up. Not only that, but the protest turned into a photo op gone bad for a politician running for Congress. Bram Resnick from affiliate KPNX has more.
Republican Adam Quasman was in Oracle this morning to protest the busing of migrants to the shelter. He told me later in the day that he saw the buses and he saw the fear on faces of young migrants. I had to tell him there was no fear on any faces, and there were no migrants. Those were YMCA campers he saw.
My Lady Justice.
Adam Quasman was making a speech.
The reason why Lady Justice holds a blindfold over faces.
But then the Republican congressional candidate suddenly stopped. He got word a bus was heading down the road and took off for it.
Anything else? Thank you.
It's what Quasman and the Oracle protesters were waiting for, a confrontation with a bus full of migrant children. Quasman tweeted from the scene, "Bus coming in. This is not compassion. This is the abrogation of the rule of law." He included a photo of a yellow school bus.
I was able to actually see some of the children in the buses, in the fear on their faces. This is not compassion.
That fear on the faces of migrant children, Quasman told me he saw in Oracle. There's just one problem. Those weren't migrant children on the yellow school bus. They were YMCA campers from the Marana School District.
Do you know that was a bus with YMCA kids?
They were sad too.
Reporters at the scene saw the children laughing and taking pictures on their iPhones.
I apologize. I didn't know. I was leaving when I saw them.
Quasman later deleted his original tweet, but we found it on PolitWhoops, a site that captures politicians' deleted tweets. He did backflips, trying to take back the story.
I said I saw children.
Right.
I saw children.
But those weren't migrant children.
Those were not migrant children. That's fine.
Pinole County Sheriff Paul Babu joins me now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What do you make of that politician?
Well, a lot of people on both sides of this issue are saying a lot of things, and clearly, as he already said, he was mistaken. So I think his words speak for themselves.
You know, according to the Arizona Republic, there was no notification any migrant children were due to arrive in Oracle yesterday. Yet you guys put out a press release warning the public that a bus was coming. Where did you get that information?
Well, first, I wouldn't believe the Arizona Republic. What I would believe is, in fact, this press release from... Correct. And this is the director of the facility, and he put out a press release almost 48 hours ago confirming that, in fact, 40 to 50 unaccompanied juveniles were coming to their facility, and he termed it as the Office of Refugee Settlement will provide safe and temporary care to a small number, and he listed it, this is an urgent request of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the director is Carol Shipman, who is in fact the director. I talked to their attorney as well, Grant Woods, who's the former Attorney General of Arizona, and he said, Sheriff, they don't have a dog in this fight. They don't have a position on immigration. They're just trying to take care of kids. I said, look, I get that. What I'm asking for is just information from Homeland Security. If you're going to send unaccompanied juveniles from Texas into my county, just as Secretary Jay Johnson promised before the Senate, he would work with state and local authorities to give them this information. And quite frankly, that never happened. So I believe I have an obligation not only to share the information that I have with the people that I serve, but I think I have legitimate questions about public safety and public health as well.
In your mind, what danger would these 40 kids on a bus going to this boys' ranch that actually is welcoming them, putting in extra security to take care of them, what danger do they present to your community?
Well, that's the question that I raised. I've sent letters, faxes, emails. I've called myself personally. Not one answer from anyone in Homeland Security in response to this when we know, in fact, they're coming. And if we have 60,000 unaccompanied juveniles, it's just not going to be my county. It's going to be counties across the Southwest. And I believe the local sheriff, the local police chief, you should communicate with them. And this is a day and age where we expect our government to be transparent, to share this information. I held a town hall, and I had both sides there.
I can understand those concerns, but no one was breaking any laws, and it's your job to enforce the law.
And I do enforce the law, and this is where what I've said is, look, I've got major issues already to deal with, not only fighting drug cartels, where we're the #1 pass-through county for drug smuggling in the nation, fighting the Sinaloa cartel. A year ago, we had 123,000 illegals that were apprehended in my county, and so what I'm saying is, look, we already got enough issues, and our job is, let's put America first and put our country first instead of spending $3.7 billion for this one-time expense.
I understand your concerns,
money into securing the border.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
There was no proof that any of those kids on that bus were gangbangers or drug dealers or anything, because you know nothing about them, and neither did the people on the streets, right? And advocacy groups within your town released their own press release after you released yours, and it urged supporters to, quote, provide a peaceful alternative to the fear-based panic which is being caused by the recklessness of Tea Party agitators. And you yourself, Sheriff, they name you in this press release. Why would this group accuse you of recklessness?
Well, what's happening and what would be helpful here, and I said to these individuals, I spoke to them myself, and to de-escalate the whole situation is a little bit of information from the federal government to take away what would be the mother that lived right next door that was screaming at me saying, you know, what am I going to do with my 2 or 3? She has 3 kids, and she's a single mom. What answers do I give her? And this is where a lot of this could have been avoided if the federal government had did, in fact, what they promised, and they failed to do that. And this is the 60,000 today is 90,000 predicted on October 1st.
But again, no law was being broken, and it's your job to enforce the law and ensure a peaceful way to do that, right?
Well, if you want to talk about laws being broken, what about the laws enforced on you and on me and on every other citizen? But when it comes to immigration, there is no law. There is no consequences. And when we welcome 90,000 people from a foreign country... But there is a law, and I'm not arguing that the law should be tweaked or changed, but there is a law, and these kids, they have a right to a hearing. They're being stopped at the border, they're being detained, but they have a right to this hearing, and right at the moment, because of this law, it takes a minute. It takes more than a minute. So you have to find somewhere to house these children. How about it takes, they're predicting a year. These kids aren't going anywhere. So if you think that they're going to be sent back, and all of these children, you have another thing coming. And the message that was sent to Central America and to Mexico is, if you make it to the border, you're home free. I have a problem with that. And I think a lot of Americans say enough is enough. We got to secure this border, and then we can deal with this issue of immigration reform, the 11 to 20 million who are here, to have a rational discussion about that, but not until this border is finally secure.
I get that, but you're a law enforcement officer, so why don't you just enforce the law as it stands now, as much as you might disdain it?
Well, here's where my job as the county sheriff, I have 420,000 residents in my county. My job is to protect those citizens and not to take on new responsibilities for families and protection of families from Central America. Now, I ensured that these roads were cleared. I issued verbal commands myself, and everybody complied with those yesterday. This was a public relations disaster, not by us, but by the federal government. This is like the case study of what not to do when you're going to send 40 to 60 unaccompanied juveniles to Pinal County, Arizona, and use this as the example. If you're going to send these kids to other counties, don't do it this way, please.
All right, Sheriff Paul Babu, thank you for talking with me this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you.